We've all heard about the popularity of pro wrestling in the 90s, with its sulphurous and politically incorrect side. The Godfather was perhaps the most controversial wrestler of all. He was a pimp who arrived with his prostitutes. In this video, we will see the craziest stories together about this phenomenal character. When the Godfather, whose real name is Charles Wright, was part of the Nation of Domination, he was above all a sidekick of The Rock. When the latter was about to become a star, Charles told himself that he would surely be fired. At that moment, he was talking with his wife and she told him that if he could show the fans his true personality, they could be successful. He had to have the opportunity to be himself, to take advantage of the creative freedom he had at that moment to create something that fits him. In real life, Charles Wright is a strip club manager in Las Vegas. In this universe, he sometimes had to deal with pimps that he hated so much that he forced them to leave his club, even hitting them sometimes. Based on how he was in real life, his wife finds him the name of the Godfather. By the way, at first, there was no question yet that he would be a pimp. He will conduct a first experiment in a non-televised show where he faced Bradshaw, who will become JBL. On that day, while their match never interested anyone usually, he told Bradshaw he was a pimp and offered to give him his ladies if he forfeited for their match. At that moment, the women were not there yet to accompany him, but he said they were waiting for him backstage. When the future JBL refused and ended up beating him, he would say the phrase, unlike before, he made the fans react who loved this whole scene, and from there, the pimp character of the Godfather was born. On November 1st, 1998, on the Sunday Night Heat show, the Godfather arrives at the ring accompanied by some young ladies. The Undertaker is coming and they are about to face off. But at that moment, the pimp will try to offer a deal to the dead man.
I know that you like hoes.
We have to realize that we have the most intimidating character in the Federation right there. A guy who presents himself as a pimp tells him that he knows he likes the ladies. Even if he manages to remain inexpressive as usual, we feel that the Undertaker is holding back, not to laugh. In reality, the Godfather is actually one of his great friends, and he finds himself in this surreal scene where he offers him some good time with his young ladies and instead forfeit. In the end, Taker won't be down with that.
I don't think everything's dead, but if it is, these girls will. Whoa!
This segment is significant if we know the relationship between the two men behind the scenes. In fact, if the Godfather works in the WWE, it is largely thanks to the Undertaker. There is a real friendship between them since they are both part of the Bone Street crew. It is a group of wrestlers who were partying together. They were opposed to the clique, with Shawn Michaels and Triple H in particular, who mostly wanted as much power as possible and who had a sulphurous reputation. Many wrestlers hated them and, on the contrary, appreciated the BSK group. Apparently, it has often happened that after drinking all night together, the Undertaker becomes sentimental and offers the Godfather his Rolex as a token of friendship. But the next morning, when the dead man was no longer under the influence of alcohol, he still wanted to get his watch back. After a while, this scene became so normal for them that the Godfather was preparing to give the Rolex back even before the Undertaker came to ask him. At the time when he was starting this pimp role who arrived with his prostitutes, it was with the Undertaker that he went to recruit girls in a strip club in the middle of the day for the evening of the show. Imagine that when the Godfather became very popular, Vince McMahon took care of that. Sometimes it was even the strip clubs who contacted the company to offer their ladies. Among these girls, there have already been the future wrestlers Lita and Victoria. On April 12, 1999, the Godfather experienced the biggest success of his career. On Monday Night Raw, the Big Boss Man is supposed to face Goldust for the Intercontinental title. That was without counting on the pimp who would see himself taking his spot. The deal he makes with the Big Boss Man is hilarious. In exchange for the 5 girls just for him, he agrees to give him this opportunity for the Intercontinental title. After a very short match, in which the pimp does a move where he imitates a train and rushes at his opponent in the corner, he wins the belt. He can celebrate in good company. Against all odds, the Godfather therefore holds a rather important title, since it is traditionally a first step for a WWE superstars before going higher. His reign will last 1 month and a half, with a loss on May 25th against Jeff Jarrett. But on a sadder note, you should know that he was supposed to lose it 2 days before at the Over the Edge pay-per-view against Owen Hart. But it was on that day that the Canadian tragically died in an accident while arriving at the ring from the heights of the arena. In the tribute to Owen show the next day, he will offer to his opponent, Road Dogg, not to beat each other up for this special day and instead go to town with his girls to smoke all night. Road Dogg will agree by saying that they will light one up and tell each other Owen Hart stories. From the moment the WWE became a public company and the SmackDown show was on UPN, a national and public broadcasting network, it was the beginning of the end for the Godfather. Everything he was doing on television, like talking about marijuana or obviously the fact that he was a pimp, caught the attention of the Parents Television Council. The PTC took a closer look at the shows and felt that its programming was inappropriate for primetime television. With the PTC threat, WWE could no longer let the Godfather be himself and do whatever he wanted, especially since they had apparently convinced Coca-Cola to withdraw their commercials. So they had an idea to totally renew his character while making fun of the PTC. They created the right to censor, the RTC. They wanted to cover the women who were too naked in the shows, censor the spots that were too violent. It was a group of villains with a mind-numbing alarm as a theme song that was annoying, and their leader was Steven Richards. With them, he will be tag team champions on November 6, 2000. In reality, it was a strategy of the Federation to prevent the Godfather from leaving. He told an official that he was no longer enjoying this new role and that he was going to return to his club in Las Vegas, so they gave him this title. Smart as they were, they knew he wouldn't walk away with the belt. At the 2002 Royal Rumble, the Godfather did a big comeback. Without his hat but still with his ladies, he is happy in a little dance full of euphoria. In total, there are no less than 12 young ladies that he will bring to the stage. It's a comeback that creates a real, totally offbeat interruption in one of the most important matches of the year. However, this new period of going back to basics will be very different. From now on, he was the boss of a legal escort agency. That's not all. He had to be much more careful with his language. He couldn't be on television anytime, never before 9 o'clock at night. In summary, he was a soft version of himself, and they had to make sure people didn't see him at the hours with the most viewers. Charles Wright himself said it was the Godfather light. This was no longer the Attitude Era in wrestling. They had to be much more cautious, and this pimp character could not be resurrected as it used to be. Charles thinks that at that moment the fans wanted the old Godfather, and that's why in the end it won't work. They will make him turn heel and he will have a short rivalry with Val Venis on SmackDown, before getting suspended between May and August 2002 for being vulgar with the fans during a non-televised match. In December, he will be fired and he will go back to his Las Vegas club, which he still had. Charles Wright was born on May 16, 1961, and it all started for him with the filming of the movie Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone. Wrestlers participated, and seeing Charles' massive physique and tattoos, who was taking care of the bar on set, they advised him to try wrestling. He will be recruited by the WWE under the Undertaker's advice. There, he will first be Papa Shango, some kind of scary voodoo wizard who had literally made the Ultimate Warrior vomit. Then he will be Kama the Supreme Fighting Machine, where his biggest achievement was to steal the Undertaker's urn and melt it down to do a necklace with it. After that, he will become a member of the Nation of Domination. In this band, he was with The Rock, who they were preparing to become one of the next big stars. It's also funny to note that the future famous actor used to travel from city to city with him. But he finally stopped doing it because he reeked of marijuana that his colleague consumed a lot. Everywhere Rocky was mistaken for a smoker while he wasn't. All this career full of memorable moments, from Papa Shango to The Godfather, via Kama Mustafa and the right to censor, will earn Charles Wright to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2016. It's the ultimate consecration for a wrestler, and it definitely makes him a legend. He was inducted by his colleagues JBL and Ron Simmons. He will entertain the audience with his usual good humor. Whether he shocked people or made them laugh, fans will never forget The Godfather. We can say that The Godfather is really a fascinating character. I hope you had a good time watching this video, and I invite you to stay on the Paradise of Wrestling to look at some other ones. See you right away.
And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so. What?